I'm here with Sifu Chow, right? And I've been getting a lot of inquiries about blindside fighting in traditional Wing Chun. That's one of our staples. You know, it's probably one of the greatest contributions next to the entry technique that Grandmaster Wing Chun introduced to the system. So the blindside is really the safest way to fight. We all know about it, people in traditional Wing Chun, but I don't know if everybody understands it completely. It's easy to comprehend, but kinesthetically, you really got to test what you do. And a lot of times when we present it in class, you know, we have to slow things down and have to do it step by step. And whatever it is that you do, whatever ideas you have, it's always best that you take those ideas and you get with a partner and you pressure test those ideas so you can kind of understand, how does this really work, you know, in random, spontaneous, free flow stuff. So the thing with the blindside is, and a lot of people teach it differently, so I'm not here to say that anybody's doing it wrong. I'm just saying this is what I do based on what I've learned and what I've tested, right? And what I've done under pressure. So the thing is with the blindside, the optimal time, and in my opinion, really the only time that you can actually get to the blindside is when your opponent delivers a committed punch. So obviously, if he's throwing a non-committed punch like a jab, you shouldn't be trying to go to the blindside, right? In our minds, you know, our goal is always to work our way to the blindside. So sometimes we have to fight from the inside and get to the blindside. Sometimes we have to turn our opponents to the blindside. I had that experience where I literally turned the person sideways and then got them. It worked very well. But it works best, in my experience, and from every time I've pressure tested in like full contact fighting or sparring, it's always when the person commits. So, you know, I have boxers, and a lot of boxers will, you know, throw an uncommitted punch until they're ready to deliver a punch. So they might do a straight, a cross, a hook, uppercut, right? But until they sink their weight and turn their body, it's probably not committed, right? You can just jab out like this. This is not even committed. Commitment is when you take your whole frame and you step through to punch through the target or all the way through the target, right? So that's a big piece of being able to utilize the fighting on the blindside strategy, right? Remember, that's a strategy. It's not always there. So just to clarify things, so if my opponent throws a punch and I step right here, I am not on the blindside yet, in my opinion. I'm not. There's nothing blindside about this. This would be the outside or the oblique. I'm still in direct line of the rear hand, right? And I'm still in his line of sight, right? The next move where I get to here, this for me, when these shoulders are lined up with my center, that to me is true blindside, right? He can turn his face to look at me, but he still can't see anything I do here. He's blindsided, for real. But that's not gonna happen on a straight punch. And so a lot of times when you see a demonstration, people will punch, and they go right here, and then they punch, right? And it's almost blindside if we suspend time and space, right? And we assume that this person lunged in with that straight punch, right? But if Chow tries to get to, back up a little bit, Chow. If Chow tries to get to my blindside off of a non-committed punch, I'm obviously just gonna be throwing more punches. And it's not that he couldn't deal with it, it's not that he couldn't try to cross my hands, but because it's non-committed, he really shouldn't, you know, he can move, but he really shouldn't commit doing a committed move to a non-committed move. So getting to the true blindside is a committed action. It's not an uncommitted action. So if he tries to get to my blindside off the straight, he'll never make it, right? He'll never make it. So it's better for him, let's say he's there, if he's throwing uncommitted, so don't get caught, we have fighting, right? So if he throws an uncommitted punch, I'm just checking it. I'm just checking it, right? In my world, I look at, how do I judge what's a commitment and what's not a commitment? Obviously, if I turn my shoulders and they go opposite directions, that's a commitment. If my shoulders are like this and I just turn here, that's not a commitment. I'm getting power, but I haven't committed because I'm stopping right here, right? If I go past that, that's a committed punch. So you always have to say to yourself, well, what's committed and what's not? How do I know when he's committed or not? Well, one giveaway is a person taking a full step, right? Or a leaping step towards you. If a person's just taking small steps, he's not really committed, right? So one of the ways you determine that is, I look at it like this, right? Feints, right? Because people like to feint, which is non-committed, right? If the person's just standing in front of you and he's faking, I'm just covering. I might go in and exploit it and take advantage of it, right? If, a feint can be here with just like this. A feint can be 50% of the movement up to 70%, right? So anything that is 70% and under, I don't really have to do a lot of movement. I can do a back half step, I can move my head, I can do a side step, but I really don't, have to do, and it's probably not wise, right? Because if I do 50% of the movement and child tries to get to my blind side straight away, he's got to deal with a lot of, I can interrupt my movement easier than he can interrupt his because I'm not picking up my whole body weight to change the angle. He's trying to get to my blind side, picking up, his whole entire body weight. So I already have the advantage no matter how fast his hands are. All right, does that make sense? So it's better that if child feints and with hands, you got to come in when you do it. Right, go. And he's just here for me to this much of movement, right? I took a little bit of a step where I'm slightly outside, but now if child crosses me, I can cover it. Don't commit. Right, so back up, come into range, punch, punch. Right, you were past range, try it again. Right, so I can cover that, right? But I'm not, until he gets to 70%. And for him to get to 70% with this, it would need to come about that much. And so I don't have to worry that it's a feint. Because if it's 70%, I'm going to treat it like the real thing. So do 70% and pull it away. I'm going to treat it like the real thing. Okay? Depending on whatever I'm going to do. So if child does his lead, his jab, and then he steps through with the cross, now I can really get blindside. Right? Do that again. I can really get blindside. Don't turn, you turn it. Right? Just commit. Don't bring your leg all the way through. Right? Step though, so you're in range to hit. Yes. But boxer. Right? See, now I can blindside. Now I can get blindside for real. Right? So if he oversteps on his lead punch, yeah, I can get blindside, right? But if he does half of that, why are you letting me go to the blindside? Okay. That's my point, right? Why would he let me? He's not, right? So if I'm going to do a committed movement, then I want to make sure he's doing a committed movement, right? And I have the advantage anytime I do a non-committed, but he does a committed, right? So even if he comes through now, yeah, now I can do all that, right? But what I'm trying to get to you across to you is a lot of people telegraph they're going to the blind side, right? And so he just follows you. And this is a lot to deal with. Yeah, there's things you can do, cross him up and all that stuff. But you got to think of things of dealing with people who don't want to cooperate with you. See, if you can do that same thing that way and move past traffic that way and move to the blind side and that rear hand, and the person's cooperating with you, that's one thing. But if they're not cooperating with you and you can still do it, then you're fine, right? But I would encourage you to set your timing, right? Not to go to the blind side before this person commits. Do you understand? Right? And a lot of times when you get right here, people commit to their punches so I can get to a blind side, you know, movement. Okay? So I hope that helps it. You know, I might come out with like a training video, blindside drills to develop your contact reflex, and you know, because it's more the sight. It's your sensory, being able to sense the person doing a committed movement, right? Some people are really good at faking, right? And so that's all the more reason for you, if you're doing Wing Chun, to control your weight distribution and control how much commitment you're doing, right? So we, you know, because the bottom line is the principle of interruptibility has always got to be there. I got to be able to interrupt what I'm doing, change directions on a dime, right? And this couldn't be any more important. You know, you talk to a big guy. The last thing, you know, if I'm going 100%, I need interruptibility. If I don't have interruptibility, I'm gonna keep on going. Gravity will take over. So it's very important that you train that way to be able to interrupt what you're doing, and don't put yourself at risk. See? So remember, right? If you're training statically, that's okay in the beginning. He punches, I get off to the blind side, I'm doing whatever I'm gonna do, right? And I'm moving in that direction. Or he throws a hook, right? And I work my way to the blind side, pull your arm in, don't leave it out, right? Right? Or he doesn't pull his arm in, so I'm still, till he decides he don't want to get hit in the face anymore, right? That's all fine, but really, you got to make it more dynamic. So, I mean, eventually, start off static and then move to dynamic. So, you go committed when you want to go committed. Come on, try it again. Why'd I do that? Right? See what I'm doing right now? I'm controlling the center. So when he punches and he pulled his arm out, I'm not gonna do that unless he did it better. Right? Do what you want to do. I don't care. I'm just looking for a committed punch. Committed. Right? And then I can do all that other crap. All right, so hope that helps. Take care.